Hey fellow woodcutters, Topsaw here. Today I was going to go over how to build a wooden fishing rack. This is a project I do in my high school wood shop. Unfortunately the sound got mixed up, so I'm just going to do a voiceover for the whole thing and walk you through this project. A couple things I really like about this project a lot is that it's really low material use and it's a really cool project that stores well. You could do this whole thing with an 8-foot long, 4-inch wide strip of 3/4 ply and then a 4-foot long 1/4-inch strip of ply. So if you just have a couple little offcuts, you can make this whole project in no time. I use traditional tools and the universal laser, but you could also cut these pieces right here out on a bandsaw or a jigsaw or a scroll saw. I cut them on the laser, but they could be cut anyway. Those are the two sides of the rack right there in 3/4-inch ply, and I have dados where those laser cut 1/4-inch sheets fit in there. There are 6 separate parts to this fishing pole rack. The first 2 parts are identical sheets of 3/4-inch plywood, 4 inches wide, 36 inches long. Then there are the 2 aprons I'm showing right there. Those are going to go underneath the actual fishing pole pieces. So those are the 2 fishing pole pieces. Those are called rails because they go horizontally. They are 4 inches wide and 22 inches long. They're a little flimsy because they're 1/4 inch. So what I need to do is I need to have those aprons underneath. I am only going to cut 1/4-inch dados in the 2 stiles, and those stiles again run vertically, and those are the sides of the rack. The key on this whole project is that opposing pieces are identical. So what that means is I want to set up fixturing so that my 2 aprons, the horizontal pieces, are the exact same length, and that my 2 stiles, my vertical pieces, are the exact same length, and my dados are in the exact same spot. So the width of my dado cut on that table saw is a 1/4 inch. So I'm going to put a dado blade in there that's a 1/4 inch wide, and that 1/4 inch matches the thickness of the actual rails that have the cutouts for the fishing poles in them. Okay, what I'm doing here is, again, I have a 1/4 inch wide dado stack on there. I want to cut that dado. It's not too important how far down it is, but it is very important that the 2 opposing pieces are in the exact same place. So I set up a stop block with my fence. It is very, very important that I am off of that stop block before I engage the blade. Right, so that stop block has to go way in front of the blade. I'm supporting my material on the miter gauge, and I cut that dado, and then that is going to be the same distance from the top and the bottom. So again, you do not want to use the miter gauge and fence together. I'm off that stop block when I cut my second dado. I'm going to grab my second stile now and cut the dados in the exact same place. And the reason why they're in the same place is I haven't let that stop block get moved. So I'm not so concerned about how high or low they are. Again, I am very concerned that they're in the exact same place on the 2 opposing stiles, the vertical pieces right there. So there I have my cuts. The top one right there is actually just a mistake. You just ignore that one. And then now that I have my 2 stiles with the dados cut, I have my 2 rails across pieces with the holes cut out for the fishing rods. Those are going to fit into those dados, and then the aprons are going to go below it to give them a little more rigidity. And secondly, so you could mount it. So you could mount it on a wall if you want, or you could actually mount it on a ceiling if you're going to change those cutouts for the rods a little bit. If you made them a little more hooked, you could mount it upside down. So again, I have 1 extra dado there. I wouldn't worry about that. But as I put the 2 stiles together, you can see that they line up perfectly because I had stop blocks in there. The strength of the attachment here is really the glue, and then the screws are in place to hold it so you don't have to clamp it until the glue dries. So there's the apron in my hand there, and then actually let me put in the bottom of the fishing pole rack. Again, horizontal is called a rail. Those are going to be solid. and then on the top, that's where you can push the pole in there. Those are 22 inches long. They go a 1/4 inch deep into the stile. So those things right there, the aprons that are going to support them, I cut long until the whole rails and stiles are assembled. And even though I know I went a 1/4 inch deep, I cut them a little long at 22, and now I'm going to cut them to length to fit underneath there. It should be 21.5, but I always do better if I assemble a part first and then mark it. So I'm marking it there at 21.5, and then I cross cut the two of them at the same time so that they are identical pieces. Cross cutting the two together so that they're identical pieces, and then they're going to sit down below the two rails going across to support them there. Again, I'm going to glue those joints, and then I'm going to countersink and pre-drill my hole so I don't split any of the wood and my screw head sits flat. Very important that the whole thing sits square. One way to make it square is that opposing pieces are identical, and those aprons also square it up quite a bit. But in addition to that, I'm going to use a pretty large framing square and then check all of my corners that everything is perpendicular. So all of my corners are perpendicular, and then I'm going to glue and screw the whole thing together. The screws have to be pre-drilled with the countersink for the screw head, and I want to get the glue in the dados on every joint and all the way around. I'm using Titebond 3 here. I really like this glue a lot. It seems to work well. You get enough work time. Making sure you don't use an excessive amount and you wipe that up, because the stain won't really work. Again, pre-drilling those holes and then putting wood screws in there. I use 2 drills, one with the pilot bit and then one with the driver bit. So you can see here, I'm putting the screws in, and then the head countersinks inside the plywood. I really like this project a lot. It's a perfect project in a high school wood shop. Hopefully it'll work out well for you as well. Please comment below if you're doing this project and let me know how it comes up. If you have any good modifications to the project. Low material cost, you can see that was even a scrap, and I hid that accidental dado inside below. Teaches skills, dados, aprons, cabinetry, stiles, rails. I cut those pieces on the universal laser, but you could cut them on any sort of jigsaw or scroll saw, and you can modify them however you want for however many pulls you want. If you like the video, hit like. If you're new to the channel, think about subscribing. It's all things wood, from tree work to woodwork, and I appreciate you watching.